Frontiers of Ruin takes you into a world broken by catastrophe, a world where survival depends not just on strength, but on strategy. In this tactical card game, 5 factions battle for dominance in a desolate, post-apocalyptic landscape. Each faction brings its own unique vision of the future, its own playstyle, and its own path to victory. But in Frontiers of Ruin, mastering the battlefield is the key to success. Let's take a closer look at what sets Frontiers of Ruin apart. At its core, Frontiers of Ruin is played on a 5x7 board. But this is no ordinary battlefield. The board itself evolves as you play. Every time you place a card, you're not just deploying units, you're influencing the terrain. This is done through the game's unique rank system, which is represented by radiation symbols, a nod to the world's ruined state. Each card has a rank, and by placing cards, you can elevate the rank of key spaces on the board, making them more valuable and harder for your opponent to control. But ranks are only part of the equation. Each card also has influence, the power level or points that it brings to your strategy. The higher a card's influence, the more points you'll earn when it's placed, but strategic placement is everything. Points are only tallied for rows that you control, so choosing where and when to place your cards is critical. The key to winning is to dominate the board and outmaneuver your opponent, all while maximizing your influence to score the most points. But how does it all come together? At the start of the game, you'll build your deck from one of the 5 factions. Each faction in Frontiers of Ruin has its own flavor and mechanics, offering endless strategic variety. Let's take a quick tour of these factions and what they bring to the table. First, we have the Wasteland Nomads, masters of mobility and resourcefulness. In a world where resources are scarce, the Nomads thrive on adaptability. Their units can move around the board more easily, allowing them to quickly seize valuable ranks and adjust their strategy on the fly. They excel in guerrilla tactics, hitting hard and moving fast. If you prefer a dynamic playstyle, the Wasteland Nomads will feel right at home in your hands. Next, the Biomantic Network, genetic engineers who have taken control of life itself. Their units are living, breathing creations tailored to serve specific purposes on the battlefield. The Biomantic Network excels at synergy, with cards that enhance each other and create powerful combinations. But with great power comes great risk. Mastering this faction requires careful planning and a deep understanding of how their abilities can turn the tide of battle. If you enjoy intricate strategies and big payoffs, the Biomantic Network is for you. Then, there are the Mutated Horrors, an unpredictable force of nature. Born from the chaotic remnants of the apocalypse, the Mutated Horrors don't play by the rules. Their units are wild, dangerous, and often unpredictable, making them difficult to counter. They thrive on disruption, throwing off your opponent's plans with sudden mutations and volatile abilities. Playing as the Mutated Horrors means embracing chaos and using it to your advantage. If you like unpredictability and raw power, this is your faction. Now, let's talk about the Remnant Militia, survivors of the old world's military. Discipline, resilience, and order define this faction. They may not be flashy, but their units are tough, reliable, and built to withstand whatever the wasteland throws at them. The Remnant Militia excels at holding key positions on the board, slowly wearing down the opposition through attrition and careful strategy. If you prefer a defensive, methodical approach to gameplay, the Remnant Militia will suit your style. Finally, we have the Silicon Synod, a faction governed by pure logic. In a world full of chaos, the Silicon Synod believes in data, algorithms, and precision. Their units are machines and AI-driven creations, and their abilities revolve around controlling the board with cold efficiency. If you like a faction that rewards careful calculation and thrives on order, the Silicon Synod's methodical approach will appeal to you. With these 5 factions, Frontiers of Ruin gives you endless strategic options. You can adapt to your playstyle, or challenge yourself by mastering the strengths of each faction. The synergy between the cards, combined with the strategic use of ranks and influence, creates a deeply tactical experience where no 2 games are ever the same. So how do you win? Victory in Frontiers of Ruin comes through control and calculated risk. As you place cards on the board, you'll be raising ranks and increasing influence in key areas. The game is won by accruing more points than your opponent at the end of the match. Points are calculated based on the influence of your cards in each row. But there's a twist. You only earn points for rows you win. If your opponent dominates a row, you get nothing, no matter how many points you place there. This makes every card placement a balancing act between offense, defense, and long-term strategy. But placement is just one piece of the puzzle. The game also includes powerful tactics cards, special abilities that let you alter the course of the battle. These cards can buff your own units, debuff your opponents, or even manipulate the board itself. With tactics cards, you have the tools to change the flow of the game at any moment, but using them at the right time is crucial. And of course, each faction has unique cards, powerful one-of-a-kind units, or abilities that reflect their core identity. These cards can have game-changing effects, but they're rare, and knowing when to deploy them is key. What makes Frontiers of Ruin special? Beyond the deep strategy and unique factions, Frontiers of Ruin is also a Web3 integrated game. This means that players can collect and trade cards as NFTs, allowing for true ownership of the cards in your deck. But unlike other NFT-based games, Frontiers of Ruin ensures that the gameplay experience remains fair and balanced, with NFTs only influencing the evolving narrative and lore, not giving any player a competitive edge. This keeps the game equally engaging for both Web 2 and Web 3 communities. Whether you're collecting rare cards, mastering the factions, or simply enjoying the thrill of outsmarting your opponent, Frontiers of Ruin offers a gameplay experience that is challenging, dynamic, and endlessly replayable. The game's ever-evolving world, shaped by player actions and decisions, makes every battle feel like part of a larger story. Join the fight in Frontiers of Ruin. Will you rise to the top